Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the break, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Hearts are sure, every responses. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Well, welcome aboard, everyone. It's a new week of Betting Weekly Live. You and myself, Steve Wyss, and on this edition, I am delighted to have our European handicapper and journalist on the show, Ruairidh Barlow. How's it been going out there?
Yeah, not too bad. I was just giving Steve a little rundown of my nice weekend of culinary delight. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's great to be back with you, Steve, and talking about the international week, which so far has gone very well for Scotland. So I'm happy.
Plenty of sun out there in Madrid, Rory, or?
Yeah, winter did look like it was here as well, but this last weekend it's been hanging around 18, 19 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. Sun's out, so yeah, as you can tell by my summer shirt, is back out for a brief showing before the winter sets in again.
We could get some snow here tonight in Yorkshire, so winter is very much on its way. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. Rick, Rich, Felix, good to see you. Disky as well. Jack Wright, always good to see you as well. Have you had any celeriac, Rory? What would your choice have been on the Bet Rivers because we win Christmas menu? There was some. I've got the venison. I don't know what your choice would have been, but yeah. How's your Nations League betting been going? How's it been going for you this current round? I found it quite tricky in patches, and I've seen a lot of mixed sort of results from people. How have you found this strange round of international matches in mid-November?
Yeah, the Nations League can be a bit funny as a competition anyway, but I think particularly this slate is tricky because it's the last week, or the last two games of this. So you've got teams that are playing for a lot and teams that are not playing for a lot. We've also seen, especially with some of the bigger teams, the bigger players are maybe finding ways to take weeks off or miss this game or only play half an hour here or there because the injuries have been so prevalent at the top of the game, and especially at that kind of Champions League level. So yeah, I think we're seeing kind of a little bit of a rotation, especially for the bigger teams. I think some of the smaller teams as well, if they're not in it, they've kind of maybe checked out at various points. So yeah, you really have to kind of pay attention to what's on the line for each team, I think, and that's the way to
Massively
kind of approach it, and that's the way I will be approaching it.
I would love to have a proper serious insight into each international camp heading into these Monday and Tuesday, because motivation is everything. Like, I'd love to know the mindset of what some teams will be up for it, some actually won't be up for it, and maybe individual players as well. But yeah, I'm just we're going to tell you where we're going to start. We're going to start with Luxembourg against Northern Ireland. This group also contains Belarus and Bulgaria. Now, I've just looked at this league table here. Northern Ireland require just 1 point to win this group based on the head-to-head record. They are the favourites going to Luxembourg at -118. Luxembourg plus 405, and the goal line, the Asian goal line, is generally around 1.75 to 2. I mean, you can see there on the screen that we've got it there over and under 1.5. So, I mean, this in general, this group has not been one containing that many goals, apart from when Northern Ireland thrashed Bulgaria 5-0. When was the last time Northern Ireland scored that many goals? What on earth happened there? Now, they don't need to win the game, Rory, but you do like Northern Ireland here, straight on the money line. Explain to us why you think, because I'd be worried about that. When a team doesn't need to win, I'm not always sure I want to back them, but you quite like them here away against Luxembourg.
Yes, I do quite like them, and yes, hello to Ray as well. Thank you for joining us. I think with this one, Northern Ireland have just got their tails up. I mean, you spoke about that 5-0 win over Bulgaria. There's a 2-0 win over Belarus as well. I think they are looking much better than I expected. I'm actually pleased to be able to back them in this one, because I've spoken in derogatory terms about them in recent kind of shows when betting weekly. I think last year they were on a poor run of form, and it was kind of looking at how can I back against them. Now I'm looking at how can I back for them. I mean, they beat Scotland and Denmark within the last year, which is pretty impressive stuff for Northern Ireland. You look at their games and they've only really lost to Spain and Bulgaria away. That was a 1-0 defeat away from home at Bulgaria. It's not the easiest place to go, so you can see a way where that happened, even if they are playing quite well. But yeah, I think they're just in quite a good place. They look organised, they look motivated, they look like they've got a bit of a fresh wind about them, whereas a lot of teams in this Nations League have kind of come down a little bit after the Euros campaign. The next major tournament is as far away as it ever is in these kind of last couple months or so. So yeah, I think I'd quite like Northern Ireland to get a result against the Luxembourg side that are just, again, they were a team before the Euros that were scoring a lot of goals and that were interesting to watch. They were actually kind of putting up a good fight against the kind of Turkeys of this world, but just 1 goal in their last 7 matches, just 2 draws in those 7 matches, and we're talking about them in kind of one of the lower leagues as well in the Nations League. So yeah, I just think Northern Ireland are a better team than them right now, and I think they'll think, well, let's go out, let's seal this, let's not kind of leave anything to chance, because you don't really want to be hanging on for the draw at the end, even if it's all you need.
Yeah, I say Northern Ireland straight on the money line, -118. That's your pick. This does seem a better version of Northern Ireland, I must say, compared to where they were, say, 3 years ago or something like that. Luxembourg, who were a nation on the ups, have really kind of regressed a bit in this phase. And the problem's the lack of goals. 1 goal scored in 5 games, which I think that's a really bad. In this group, we got Northern Ireland, Bulgaria, Belarus. That's not great shakes, is it? If you're only scoring 1 goal in those 5 games, that's a massive concern for me, for Luxembourg. And every single game in this group, apart from that 5-0 win for Northern Ireland against Bulgaria, has gone under 2.5 goals. This has been such a low-scoring group. And the double, by the way, for Luxembourg, Northern Ireland, and the Belarus game today against Bulgaria, Belarus, under 2.5 goals double, plus 104. And I like that as a double. I'm not really a double man in general, but I'm really struggling to see where the goals are scored. This Northern Ireland game, to me, reeks of a tight away win or a draw. If it's 10 minutes to go, I really think they will play for the draw, to be honest. But they are the better team, and Luxembourg haven't got anything to play for now apart from pride. So I could see this being a 0-1, 0-2 at most. And we'll come on to the Bulgaria game very soon. Just going through the comments here. Ray, good to see you. Charlie as well. Motivation is absolutely the key. Felix likes Luxembourg draw, double chance. Northern Ireland were professional, but not sparkling versus Bulgaria. We'll probably see the same here, to be honest, Felix. I guess it's 1 goal probably will be enough to win the game because of how poor Luxembourg have been.
Based on recent form, at least.
Yeah, Nicoleo, good to see you. Malunga as well. Kino says, Northern Ireland on the handicap, -1.5 with the corners. That would probably pay quite well, Kino. I mean, you're probably looking at a 0-2 sort of score there, which could happen. It could happen. I think that was the score in the reverse fixture. Yeah, 2-0 to Northern Ireland. Belarus now, we've got to go to there. It's the bottom match on this page here. Bulgaria against Belarus. Now, Bulgaria -134 at the time of going live here. Again, it's a pretty low goal line. It's around about the over under 1.75 or over 2 Asian goal line here. Not a lot of goals are expected. I mean, both have something to play for. I mean, Bulgaria could potentially win the group if Northern Ireland slip up. Northern Ireland would have to lose the game and they would have to win. Belarus, if they win this game, they finish second, which I think gets them into a playoff to potentially go up to League B. Third place in this group, you just stay where you are. There's no real pressure on them. Luxembourg are in that relegation zone, looking down to the dreaded League D. But I mean, it's almost a free hit for both teams here. But a point will be enough for. Realistically, we think Northern Ireland are going to get at least a point. And I think Bulgaria then will look at thinking, well, let's make sure we finish second. This could be a draw. Draw suits them nicely. Belarus have scored 2 goals in this group. So have Bulgaria. I mean, where are the goals going to come from in this game, Rory? Even if there's a little bit of a dangling carrot for a win. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking the carrot. I'm following that carrot into a Bulgaria win. It's at -137. The thing I like here, and it's more of a lean necessarily than kind of a kind of one of my better picks, but like I think Bulgaria to win, both teams to score no, that's at +140. I think that's a really appealing price because I think again Bulgaria, they're not a great team, but they are better than Belarus. And as you mentioned, that Belarus goals record, if you extend that out beyond the Nations League, it's 2 goals in just 9 games. Both of them came against Luxembourg, who we've just spoken about how poor they've been of late. So that's really not a great record for Belarus to be looking at. And I'm more backing against Belarus away from home than I am backing Bulgaria. But Bulgaria should have enough in them for me here. So yeah, I just think at home they probably want to win. Belarus, they do have something to play for, but it's not particularly inspiring what we've seen from them so far. So yeah, I just like Bulgaria to get or find a way at home.
I'm not even sure if Belarus would want to be in Group B playoffs because they're not a great nation. Let's be honest. I think they'd find themselves pretty outclassed. Although I don't know what the financial incentives are for them. I mean, they're going to be up for it, but how up for it are they? I'm not really sure here. I mean, both teams have kept quite a few clean sheets between them. Bulgaria's 2 wins have been 1-0. I think 0-0's on the cards, but I do like Bulgaria are the better team. Bulgaria win and both teams score no. That's your pick for the game. I'm going with this double for both group games here. Northern Ireland in Luxembourg and the Bulgaria, Belarus under 2.5. Simple, straight double. Both games to finish under 2.5 in this group. It plays +104. I just don't see where the goals are going to come from in this group this evening. Let's move on to where we might get some goals. Into the group with Scotland, Croatia against Portugal. Now, I've got a feeling we might be on opposing sides here. Croatia have been backed in heavily today. +140 now at the time of going live. Over 2.5 goals at -112. You can get Portugal at +210 now. Now, the main reason for this is a leak of some team news. 4 key Portugal players have been let go and gone back to their clubs, apparently. Ronaldo, Pedro Neto, Bruno Fernandes, and Bernardo Silva. Portugal have even called up Fabio Silva, the former Wolves player. Does he still play for Wolves? Maybe on loan in the squad here. And in terms of the league, the group, I mean, Portugal have done their business here. They've won the group already, 13 points on the board. Croatia need 1 point to finish second. Now, I've got to be honest, Rory, I really am struggling to see beyond Croatia. I think Portugal will just want to get out of here. And, they've won the group, whatever. I don't think it will be a particularly high-intensity game, maybe. And I was looking at Croatia draw no bet here. It's now -143, though. I mean, when I was doing these notes about an hour and a half ago, Croatia draw no bet was as big as -118, which was a far more applicable price. So, Croatia have been backed in. The lineups we expect in Portugal will go second string. Although, as always with the lineups, you've got to be careful. Rumours can be rumours. And if you're actually taking Croatia straight on the money line, there is a risk because a draw will do for them. But I was looking here at Tino Bet Croatia -143 now. I'm not so sure about that price. You think Portugal, though, might potentially offer something? What are your thoughts?
I will explain exactly why I'm opposing you here, Steve. It's not something I like to do too often. Don't want to get on the wrong side of Steve, who is the master. But no, I think Portugal are the exact opposite of Croatia in one key way, and it's that Croatia are a great tournament team. Take them out of a tournament, and I know it is kind of a one-off game in some senses here, but take them out of a tournament, they really aren't the same side. I mean, they've lost to Wales, Turkey. They're not the same team outside of tournaments. And even if you look at the Euros most recently, this Croatia side, dare I say it, are starting to look a little tired. They're not quite the Croatia of old, I don't think. They don't quite have that firepower. Unless Kramaric is on kind of form, I really don't see them as kind of the same powerhouse that they used to be in kind of 2018, 2022, even 2024. But so, yeah, I think with Portugal as well, they are poor in tournaments, But if you put them into a group stage where they can be more expressive, where Roberto Martinez's free-flowing football is a little bit more kind of adventurous in most sides, and they have more talent in most sides, that's where I think they're successful. They've scored 12 in their last 5. I do like both teams to score in this one. They've only kept 1 clean sheet in the last kind of 9 or so. And that's Croatia have only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 9. So yeah, Croatia, I don't particularly like them right now. And I think, to your point, Croatia only need a point in this game, but they could have got that against Scotland in their last game, and they lost 1-0 to a Scotland side that's not been doing very well. So yeah, I just think Portugal have got enough quality to make a game of this. Where I like this game is Portugal to win or draw, plus both teams to score. That's plus 135 that comes back at. And I don't buy this Croatia side. I don't believe in them right now, and I don't think that they're particularly motivated to. I mean, they can go through to the quarterfinals and they can get their kind of playoff, but I don't think that this is a Croatia side in a great place right now.
Official pick from you is Portugal and tie and both teams to score, plus 135. Official pick from me, Croatia tie no bet, minus 143 now. You got to make your own minds up. What do you like? Put it in the comments. Which side are you going with here? I mean, this could end a 1-1 draw, and I push and you win. So I wouldn't rule out the draw here. That's why I wouldn't take on the money line. And if I think if it gets to minus 150 on the tie no bet, beyond minus 150, I think it's probably a no bet on Croatia, to be honest. You've got to have draw security because that will be enough for them. And what did you make of Croatia? I mean, you would have seen some of that Scotland game against Croatia on the weekend. I mean, I was a little bit surprised maybe that they lost that. It sounded like Scotland played pretty well. I mean, this is in splits. This is in one of the hotbeds of, they're going to get great support here. Croatia, they're known for being strong at home. But I mean, what sort of state do you think Croatian football's in?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a decent enough young generation coming through, but that generation has to come through. And ultimately, they're still kind of relying on Modric to direct games. This will be his second game, obviously, in the space of a few days. Something that isn't necessarily the common thing for Modric now, because he's not been playing for Real Madrid regularly. I think if you look at that Scotland game especially, they did have someone sent off, so that's kind of quite an important caveat to put in there. But even if you look at their home game against Scotland, they beat them 2-1, but they're a bit fortunate to get that 2-1 win. Vardiol was being absolutely given the runaround by Ben Doak, which is surprising to say the least. But yeah, Scotland weren't as good as they have been in previous games, and Croatia really struggled against them. And even in those other games, I mean, that tight win I spoke about in Croatia over Scotland, they got a tight win over Poland, but they drew 3-3 away with them. Again, I don't think Poland or Scotland are great shakes at the moment, but Croatia have not really been putting them away, which is why I think Portugal will still get a result, despite the fact that they're resting players and despite the fact they're not really playing for too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. It's not maybe the greatest Croatia side, but Portugal, I can't get away from them. I mean, this predicted lineup Charlie's put up there for them. He reckons only Cancelo, Vitinha, Neves, and Conceição starter level. I mean, that's debatable. Some of these players coming in might be hungry, by the way. It might be the only chance they get to start. Had said this before, been done before at club level, where youngsters come in or players that don't normally start come in and you think they're going to be terrible, but they're actually fired up and sometimes more hungry than the starters. But the players that have been let go or might be benched here, I think that's a big thing for Portugal. I can't get away from that. So, yeah, make your own minds up. Francis G says a game to avoid. FCA Football says Denmark, DMB, Bulgaria and Spain to win. That's his parlay. He likes Croatia, both teams to score. That is part of your bet here. The tie and both teams to score, yes. Let's see how it goes. May the best man win, Rory, in that particular game. Poland, Scotland now for this is your own nation, of course. Let me just get the graphic for it. Poland, I mean, this is Scotland need to win the game to actually to finish third and avoid relegation from League A. Draw will do for Poland. I mean, it's still, if Croatia do lose, then there's all sorts of mathematics, isn't there, where the team could finish in second place as well. So we're not going to go down that territory. But the simple fact is to avoid finishing bottom and therefore getting relegated, a win is required for Scotland. Plus 205, you can now get the Scottish. What do you think? What sort of Scotland angle have you got here, Rory?
Yeah, I think I quite like Scotland to get a result here as well. Like, I'm not necessarily backing Scotland to win. I've gone Scotland plus 0.25. Earlier, that was looking at about minus 130. And I think, again, this is a Poland side that they are not a bad team, but they're missing Robert Lewandowski. And one of the things that I've noticed about Poland, particularly in the Euros over the last couple of years, when the pressure's on them, that's when they really struggle. And Poland will kind of need to react here because there's been a bit of a back and forth in the Polish media. They lost 5-1 to Portugal, and a couple of their players were seen getting pictures and autographs kind of thing with Cristiano Ronaldo. That did not go down well in Poland, to say the least. So they'll be in front of a home crowd, which is going to want to see something from this Poland side. And I think that's where Scotland are best suited. I think Poland and Scotland are quite similar in that sense. They don't want to be the protagonists. They want the other team to be kind of coming onto them. And I think Poland in this case do need to kind of come on to Scotland a little bit more than Scotland need to, because Scotland, even though they wouldn't need to win, I don't think they're necessarily too bothered about staying in the Nations League A, but they can still qualify if results go their right way in Croatia too. So it is kind of all on the table in this game. I think if you look at that Poland-Scotland game where Poland won 2-1, they were a little bit fortunate as well. There was kind of a long-range strike that hit an arm in the box, and they didn't necessarily deserve to win that first game. So I think Scotland are maybe not value for a result. I mean, Dan Roebuck seems to think so. But yeah, I like Scotland just to get a result here. And I think Poland's under the pressure. A draw is kind of okay for them still as well. So yeah, I don't necessarily see Scotland losing, but maybe that is blind Homer optimism.
This is a lean from you, isn't it, Rory? Scotland plus 0.25 on the Asian handicap and minus 130. If you get at least a draw with Scotland, then you'll win something with that bet. I don't mind that bet, to be fair. I don't rate Poland. I haven't for quite some time. I really haven't. But I mean, initially I was looking at both teams' score yesterday, but it's minus 150 now. And Scotland have kept 2 straight clean sheets. I know they was at home against Portugal and Croatia and those sort of nations. That's very respectable. Away from home, it's different. But at some point, this match might explode, potentially. It depends the mindset of Poland. I mean, a draw, I don't know with Poland. I can't get involved here myself. But I think it might be a half-decent game. Probably the value maybe is with Scotland. They've got a bit more momentum now. Poland just took a right beating, really, as well. That defense of Poland does not. I don't trust it. I don't trust much of Poland. Full stop. It's soccer at the minute.
You're more backing against Poland than with Scotland. I can tell, Stephen. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
I don't know about Scotland either these days. They had a phase where you were looking on the up, and then you probably had about 12 months where it was awful. Just the last 2 results have seemed a lot better. Performances have been a lot better. I don't know why that's happened. Have players come back? Has something changed to get those 2 clean sheets?
Yeah, I think what happened with Scotland was that they had about 9 months lead into the Euros where they were already qualified and they were looking very good at that stage, but they kind of took their foot off the gas. Steve Clarke experimented a little bit with the lineup. Then they ended up losing a few players just before the Euros. So they really kind of had that shock effect where they played a lot of teams that were better than them in friendlies, lost a lot of those games, then went into the Euros, didn't really perform, but they were missing some key players. And now I think Steve Clarke has tried to make them a little bit more ambitious in attacking, and that early on in the group really did not pay dividends because I think they got exploited a little bit. But now with Ben Doak, who's again looking really, really good for Scotland, a few more players kind of coming back in and performing, now they start to look like they have kind of a team in direction and a bit of a momentum, as you say. So I think that kind of explains that kind of shift. But I think, again, they were never as bad as their results where they went kind of 15, 16 games with 1 win, but they're not quite as good as they are drawing against Portugal and beating Croatia.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting game. That's the lean from Rory. Scotland plus 0.25 on the Asian handicap. Absolutely not even a lean from me in this game. I can't get involved in it. We're going to move to the Spain group now. It'll be very interesting to hear your opinions on Spain, actually. Roy, we've got 2 matches to talk about: Spain versus Switzerland and Serbia, Denmark. Spain, Switzerland. Now, this match has been played in Tenerife, the island of Tenerife in the Canary Islands. This is surely a popular move for everyone to go there this time of year. Nice, comfortably in the 70s for temperature. And, it can't be often that a match is played in Tenerife or any of the Canaries for the Spanish national team. I didn't actually look back. Spain have won the group and Switzerland at bottom. So there's nothing at stake apart from pride. And I think then you just got to look at the lineups here, professionalism, perhaps. I mean, part of me was looking here at Spain -1 on the Asian handicap, just simply because I think even their second string is better than potentially Switzerland's second string or whatever rotation they do. And, are Switzerland going to be bothered here, rock bottom? This is one of the, I said at the top of the show, this is where I want to see. I'd love to know the motivation in both camps. If I knew that Switzerland were just in Tenerife for a nice little holiday and escape to the sun and don't care, I would be all over Spain here. But I just don't know which sort of mindset we're going to have. Spain are -250 on the money line. Switzerland at +650. We've got over 2.5 goals at -155. Asian handicap, for those who are interested, it is between -1 and -1.25. Asian handicap on Spain is -109. I don't think that's a bad bet. That's a lean from me. As long as they win the game, you're not going to lose everything. How are Spain going to approach the game? What's the likely lineup going to be, Rory?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of changes. And just on that note, certainly if you're a Swiss fan, it's one you want to see pop up on the calendar in November, trip to Tenerife. But yes, I think Spain are missing a lot of players. Lamine Yamal is out. There's a few players who have kind of been sent home. Alex Baena is gone. Subimendi has been sent home as well. And yeah, so they are missing quite a few good players that would start for them. I think they'll rotate a little bit as well. Pedri will be starting, though. It's his kind of homecoming. He's from Tenerife, so he'll be in the lineup. And I think you maybe see a bit of Samuel Morodion. Alvaro Morata, I think, will start. And you'll also see Nico Williams from the start because he started on the bench in the previous game. So I like Spain here. The way I've gone at it is both teams to score no. The Swiss team, unless Breel Mbolo is really on form, they just don't have enough goal threat for me. And I saw that in the Euros. I thought that kind of played out. Unless he's kind of really taking it to defense, then they really struggle to kind of put these goals away. If you look at the Swiss lineup as well, there's no Manuel Akanji in it. It's, again, their bottom. You talk about the motivation. And then Swiss also 1 goal in their last 5 away matches. Speaks to a side that, again, struggles for goals, as I was saying. Spain, 3 clean sheets in their last 5. Since the Euros, one of the changes that you've seen a little bit is with injuries. Nico Williams missed one of the breaks. Lamine Yamal has missed another now. They've kind of bunkered down a little bit and made themselves a little bit more defensive, solid defensively than they were in the Euros, where they kind of went back and forth and said, right, okay, we don't care. We'll take you on because we've got the players to beat you on the counter. So yeah, this Swiss team were kind of handled on the break by Spain earlier in this Nations League, and I think they'll probably win this game. I don't think the margin will be too great because, again, motivations, rotations, injuries, that kind of thing. But I do think Spain will keep a clean sheet in this one.
Both teams score no. -120. That is your official pick for the game. I am really close to pressing that button on the -1.25, Rory. I need to know from you, how serious is Spain going to take this with the 11 on the field? Are they a professional outfit? I've listened, I've looked at the interviews with the manager heading into the game. He's on about world rankings and doing the job, doing it for the fans. Are they going to be fired up enough for this, do you think? What sort of is the mindset of Spain in these games? Are they, because some teams get very lazy. They do. I don't know what Spain's attitude is going to be.
I'm not sure Spain will be fired up for this, but one thing to highlight is that the atmosphere in the Spain camp is as good as it has been for a decade. More or less the last year, you've really kind of see it come into play, and there's a good bond there. And one of the things that's been notable over the last kind of couple of months is that despite the injuries, despite Rodri being missing, who's somebody that we didn't mention, but it's obviously a huge absence, whoever's coming in has kind of really just got on with the job and done very well. The competition for places is really high, which is another factor. So that does motivate the players individually to do well. But also, yeah, I think the atmosphere, players are enjoying their football. And it kind of seems that whatever is put in front of Spain right now, they tend to find a way around it. Regardless of kind of what challenge somebody lays down, they seem to be just being a good enough place and cohesive enough where they will kind of come through that adversity. So that's why I kind of like Spain to win. But yes, I think the no goals is the key here for Switzerland.
Spain win and both teams score no is plus 130. Your bet is both teams score no minus 114. I quite like that. It does cover for the 0-0. Sometimes these games can be a damp squib. Like if they both, because there's nothing at stake really for both in terms of the group. And, you might just want to get out of here without injuries, things like that. And you get a lower tempo. Felix says under 2.75. Disky says under 3.5. I can see why some might look at that. Because it's just a mindset. It's so difficult. My lean is minus 1.25 on Spain. I do think they'll win the game. By how many? I'm not entirely sure. Foxy is completely right there. Spain actually won the reverse fixture 4-1. They were down to 10 men since the 20th minute. Conceded 20 shots in that game, but only 3 on target. So, look, they have so much of the ball, Spain. I mean, the possession stats here will probably be 65% more of the ball, and you just got to wonder. I just don't see how Switzerland are going to care about this game. It's done. They're bottom of the group, nothing to play for, and they can just enjoy this little trip to Tenerife for the sun, as far as I'm concerned. The other fixture in the group is far more interesting, actually. This is Serbia against Denmark. Serbia, I mean, it's kind of a pick 'em, really, if we're being brutally honest with the bets. Here, just let me get the latest ones here. Plus 170 for Serbia at the time of going live. Denmark plus 185, and the ties at plus 210. Over 2.5 goals at plus 128. I have to say, this might be my best bet of the day here. I really like both teams score yes at minus 118. And the reason being, I just think both Serbia have got to win the game to finish second in the group, and Denmark, a point will be enough for Denmark. They're both safe from relegation. Direct relegation. Third place actually is a playoff, isn't it, for relegation now? Every position's got something on it in these Nations League. I just think the win is worth its weight in gold to finish second in the group. And at some stage, someone's got to go for it. Serbia have got to go for it. Denmark potentially might have to go. As soon as one goal is scored, the other team's got to react. Simple as that, really. Unless it stays 0-0 for a while and, Serbia look to strike late to try and win it 1-0. That looks a big price. In a match which could explode, minus 118 on both teams score, yes. I think it's a really good bet. Just a reminder before I get your thoughts on this game, Rory, the newsletter number 3 is going to be in your inboxes in 30 minutes. Do sign up. I've got an exclusive pick on there. We've got a Jack Wright video. Rory, your bet on the last newsletter came in. It was a late winner for in Andorra, wasn't it? Moldova.
I had me sweating a little.
The newsletter is 100% on its picks right now. There's several futures on there, so do subscribe to that newsletter. It's going to be in your inboxes in half an hour's time. What are your thoughts then? Denmark, Serbia.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one to call. Like you say, it's a bit of a pick-em. I think with these two teams, again, I think whoever scores first doesn't lose. So that might be one to kind of take into consideration if you're on the in-play, because I think both of these teams will struggle to kind of come back from behind and win this game. I think Denmark are quite solid defensively. They're hardworking, but without maybe that kind of flash in the pan magic that they necessarily need. Serbia, similarly, they've kind of bunkered down a lot after the Euros. A lot of these sides, the goals have collapsed in the last kind of 3 months. So, yeah, I think it's a really hard one to call. Like both teams to score, I think 1-1 draw is very much within the realms of possibility, but it's a tricky one for me. I'm staying away from that one.
Yeah, I just think this match could open up because, like I say, at some point, Serbia have got to push for it. And that might potentially lead to Denmark opening up as well if they have to fight back. There's a few going on about the cards here. COD Gaming and Foxy say, over 5.5 cards. We've got Felix Zvea is the German referee. I mean, he's often been seen in like Champions Leagues, Nations League and things like that. I mean, just looking at him now, I mean, crikey, he gave 11 cards in Gibraltar against San Marino. I mean, how does that happen?
International football's biggest rivalry, Steve. I don't know what you're on about.
I know. We've got the San Marino game to talk about very soon. I mean, just looking, he does have a high card count. Serbia are known down the years for having a lot of cards in matches that matter. I don't know, certain nations just, I think when something's on the line, when everything's on the line, certain nations will give it everything and play cynical, desperate if they have to. So that could be an angle, yeah. This, especially with a referee that likes to give cards out. We've got another group to talk about, and then the big one with San Marino. This is Romania against Cyprus. I mean, kind of crazy scenes with Romania, Kosovo at the weekend. I mean, I don't know, have Romania been awarded that game 3-0? Or look like they're going to be awarded the game because Kosovo walked it off. I think either way, Romania, I mean, they're safe in top spot in this group. So there's not really, I don't think there'll be anything at stake for them unless something random happened with that match with Kosovo, that it would have to be replayed or something. They are strong favourites to beat Cyprus here. Cyprus side who nothing to play for. For them, they are locked in third place. They're going to be in Group C next time. I mean, Romania are by far the better team. I've got written on my notes here, question mark, Rory. Do Romania care about this match?
It's a good point. Probably not that much, but are Cyprus good enough to take a point off Romania anyway, is my probably response to that. I think Cyprus are in the kind of place where Northern Ireland were this time last year, where results just aren't coming away from home in particular. That motivation drops even further than if you don't have anything to play for, because you don't have the fans kind of yelling in your ears basically to do something about it. So yeah, I think Cyprus away from home are always one I look to oppose. It's hard to eke value out of this one for me, but if you are going to look at it, go Romania and find some way of adding value to that.
Handicap is minus 1.75 on Romania. I mean, I watched the reverse game. I was on Romania in that match. They were done by half-time. It was 3-0 by half-time, I think. By far better. But again, I just don't know what sort of headspace they're in. Are they that bothered? They weren't 100% convincing in a home match against Lithuania, I think it was. So who knows here? Ray says, loving the newsletter. Thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate that. Jack says, Kosovo need a 3-0 win. And only way they could get it if it was abandoned, deemed Romania's fault. Yeah, so there we go. It's going to go to the courts then, basically, isn't it? Or whatever we call it in UEFA. Who knows with the outcome of that? So, I don't know, maybe Romania feel they might need to win the game. They're more than good enough to win. But, you know, I'd hate to get involved in the handicap and they win by 1 goal. I hate that. So, I can't get involved in that. Kosovo as well. Kosovo here against Lithuania. I did look at over 2.5 goals here, around about the minus 130 mark, because Lithuania have actually scored in all their games, believe it or not, bar one, I think it is in this group. Not particularly good defense, but they do like to have a go. Yeah, they have scored since the opener. They've scored in every game. Kosovo should be more than good enough to win here. Again, after the weekend, you know, the spotlight's on them. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, Rory. The minus 278 on the money line for Kosovo. The handicap minus 1.25. Anything here that you like?
Nothing especially, but I do think this group, it's played out the exact way it should be. I mean, Romania, I think, are the best side in that league. Kosovo are second. I think they are by a distance the second best team, and Cyprus and Lithuania are by a distance the 2 worst in that group. So if you're going off that, then Kosovo probably have to be backed, and I think they've probably got enough talent to win this game. You're just looking at that kind of handicap. I would guess with Kosovo, you're probably wanting to respond. The Kosovan, from what I've seen in the football, Kosovan character responds quite well to adversity. So in that sense, I would say maybe they kind of respond and beat the kind of handicap. But having said that, motivation is that key question, which is why I'd probably stay away from this one.
Yeah, I do have a lean for over 2.5 goals at minus 132. I think both teams to score is not a bad price, by the way. I think it's plus money, plus 106, but I would still take the over because 3-0 to Kosovo is quite possible in this game. So you've got 2 ways of winning your bet. I do think Lithuania can get on the score sheet here. They've got nothing to lose. They're rock bottom. And I've mentioned before about some teams that don't care when there's nothing to play for, but they are for the smaller nations. Every time they go to the field, I think they've got national pride on their shirt, you know, and I think it means more to them when, you know, say like Switzerland, you know, they've got more high profile reputation players who kind of mail it in a bit. Lithuania, I think, will come here and they might as well have a go, but it would only be a lean. Kosovo and 1.5 goals.
There's no need to indirect about England like that, Steve.
Kosovo have a point to prove, says FGA Football. He likes Kosovo winning up plus 1.5 goals. I do think they'll be fired up. I think there's a lot of negativity towards Kosovo in the media this week, and I think the players may well be wanting to prove a point. They are. I mean, a lot might think Kosovo, who are they, watching this show? They aren't that bad. You know, they are genuine League C sort of level. They're not as good as Romania. They're not as good as, say, your Swedens of this world. You know, maybe the North Macedonians of this world, but they are not that bad. And they are better than Lithuania for sure. But Lithuania do have a go. So I would lean that over. The last game to talk about is the big game in League D of the Nations League. It is Liechtenstein against San Marino. These are probably the worst two teams in Europe. They're genuinely the worst two teams in Europe. But it's winner takes it all. This is a genuine ABBA game, as I call it. A win, and you finish top of the group, which is promotion to League C. If you finish second in the group, then you will get a win for San Marino wins them the group, and a win for Liechtenstein gets them second, which is into the playoffs. So yeah, it's a draw does nothing for either team. Draw does nothing, which cue a draw. It often happens that way, doesn't it? Liechtenstein are the favourites. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Would you trust Liechtenstein at minus money? Minus 134 on Liechtenstein. San Marino plus 425. San Marino won the reverse game 1-0. Every now and then I have a mad bet, a crazy bet, right? And I'm willing to go for it here because over 1.75 goals is at minus 129. Now, there's risks involved here because I wouldn't trust either offense really. But the last two fixtures, we look at San Marino 1, Gibraltar 1. Gibraltar 2, Liechtenstein 2. There were some goals in recent games. When the win is worth so much for both teams, there's a dangling carrot so much they've got to go for it surely. And this is a low goal line in a match where 0-0 does nothing for either team. I like over 1.75. You're going to go even more with a lean here.
Yes, this is the bet for whatever you have left over. I think, I'm going over 2.5 goals at plus 195 here. And I think for that exact reason you're saying, both of these teams kind of want to win this game. And the thing is, Liechtenstein and San Marino are not used to opening up. Once they're not teams that are going to kind of go and play kind of free-flowing football normally. This is kind of a rare opportunity where I think they won't be trying to keep it tight. I think if you look at the other games, there's not been that many goals, but that's why this one will have more goals because they can't go away and kind of nick a point and then kind of see what they can do at home. So yeah, that's why I think San Marino, if they go behind, Liechtenstein, if they go behind, they're more likely to concede more than equalize or kind of, really keep it tight. So yeah, that's why I think it's going to be overs in this one. Again, probably a half unit kind of stake kind of bet, maybe not as full-blooded as you would go for some of the others, but yeah, my lean is over 2.5 goals at plus 195, and just teams that aren't used to playing attacking football, so when they're forced to, they're probably going to have to do things a little bit differently, and they won't be as well versed in it.
Yeah, normally these two teams just set up to basically don't be embarrassed. Even in the League D fixtures, it's just keep it tight, try and nick a 1-0 win. Or if not, we'll take the draw, 0-0 sort of territory. But the win's there. The win is worth its weight in gold. If San Marino won this game, they get promoted. Can you imagine that?
Mental.
San Marino could be. I mean, who's getting relegated from B? Let's work this out, Rory, because we could get a fixture San Marino against a big nation that's getting relegated from B, which is absolutely ridiculous. Gibraltar, Liechtenstein as well. If they could get in the playoff, they could end up in C. Liechtenstein. Both these teams held a record recently of the most number of games without winning. Gibraltar then beat Liechtenstein to end their record. Then Liechtenstein beat Hong Kong 1-0 in October. Now, how much weight that has, I don't know how good or bad Hong Kong are. But anyway, that is a bet for me. Over 1.75 goals at -175 as my cat comes in to say hello. And it's a lean for you for over 2.5 goals. My best bet of the day is Serbia, Denmark, both teams score yes. And I say this is my second best bet of the day. It's a crazy bet, but I do like the goal line being low. What's your best bet of the day, Rory, before we go?
My best bet of the day, I think I'm probably going to go with both teams to score no, Spain, Switzerland at -120. But yes, as we were saying, add Spain onto that. I don't think that's a bad direction to go either. And then you're into plus money, about +135, was it?
Yes. Spain win to 0 was at +135. But both teams score no, Spain, Switzerland. That's your bet of the day. Just before we go, as a reminder, we do have Monday Night Football in the NFL. Houston Texans at Dallas Cowboys. Proper, as we would say over here, a local derby in the south of the US there. Texans -375 on the money line. Cowboys +280. -7 on the spread for the Texans. Total points 41.5 at -109. What you're betting on there for those who are into the NFL, and put that in your comments or in the video. But thanks very much, Rory. It's been another great day of looking ahead to the UEFA Nations League tomorrow. Dan Roebuck's on the show with Will White, professional gambler Will White. They've got tons to look at, including the South American qualifiers as well. Thanks very much, Rory.
Pleasure as always, Steve. And South American qualifiers are always tasty, so don't miss Dan and Will on that.
They certainly are. Well, take care, y'all. And as I say, remember bet responsibly. Best of luck, whatever you're taking today in the betting world. See you next time.